straight talk only on America's most hypnotic podcast, The Pod People. I'm Matisse Van Rossum, and I'm in my sleepy era. I'm cozy maxing. I'm bedtime pilled.
Yawncore.
Yawncore.
Welcome to prime time, bitch. This is bed sheets.
More like bed sheets.
Oh, bed sheets.
Good.
Considering
Bed sheets.
this episode, yeah.
That's true. That's nice. I like that. Sorry. You said this was straight talk, and I'm talking. Should I just be silent for this episode?
Yes, we would prefer that.
Too bad. I'm talking.
No.
Hi, my name is Cleveland Mosier, and I'm having dreams in the bitch house.
There it is.
Bitch.
Bitch. We're ready for a bitch-centric episode.
Yes.
Wow. This is our
With
final.
us, every episode is a bitch-centric episode.
True.
So we're a bunch of bitches.
We're a bunch of punk
We've got
bitches.
99 problems, and bitch is all.
And bitch is
all
every
9
one of them.
Bitches every single problem. Yeah.
Well, this is our final film review of 2022. We're doing a Patreon pick. This one comes courtesy of our friend and honorary pod boy Sam Simon.
A Patreon and a Patriot.
A Patreon and a Patriot.
A Podtriot.
And Podtriot.
Podtriot,
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
We'll circle back on that.
Yeah, we'll come back around.
We'll come back around to that.
Our fellow Patriots.
I like that. But Sam has chosen A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, for us to talk about. This movie came out in 1987. It's obviously the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah, but
as
I
the
mean,
title suggests.
spiritually, it's the second.
Spiritually, it's the second one. Yeah, we did talk about the second one earlier this year, and had a fun time talking about the not so secretly gay Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and all the stuff that went into that. But yes, this is sort of a direct sequel to the original. Nancy is back. Heather Langenkamp is back. Now she's like a psychiatrist intern, and she's helping some kids in a psychiatric ward who are all being stalked by the nasty knife man himself, Freddy Krueger. He's back.
The seed of 100 maniacs.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger.
We'll get there.
Baby steps.
I was just looking at the director of this movie, Chuck Russell. I was curious to see what other stuff he had done. I was surprised to see he's done a couple of very notable things.
Mm-hmm.
This was his first film that he directed, and immediately after this, he did the 1988 remake of The Blob.
A movie that we will be talking about next year. For
We will
sure.
100% be talking about that in 2023. It's one of my favorite horror movies.
Wait, this was his first movie?
This was his first.
Get the fuck
and
outta
the
here.
Blob,
This
and the
movie's
Blob
so
was his
impressive.
second. And then later in the
damn.
90s, he directed The Mask, the Jim Carrey one.
Yo.
Somebody stop me.
What a king.
And then,
Oh my god. What?
and then in 2002,
Somebody didn't stop him.
they didn't stop him, and he directed The Scorpion King,
Yo.
starring Dwayne The Rock
Awesome.
Johnson.
Awesome. I love that movie.
It's not a good movie.
No, it's yeah, of course not. But I love it.
But yeah, so Chuck Russell has actually a pretty notable
Yeah, what a
filmography.
career.
Yeah, what a career. He still
with this
only has 10
Incredible.
directorial credits to his name, and most of them are, the back half of them are not notable at all. But
Shit, I mean, the Mask is great.
I mean, geez, this movie is dope. It's great.
yeah, I'll say.
It's probably my second favorite in the series after the original.
Yeah, it's close with New Nightmare for me between the two. They're both fantastic.
I'm coming off this hot. I need to rewatch the other ones. It's my first time watching all of them. I might like this one the most. I like the vibe. I like the feel.
I think the first half of this movie puts it on pace to outshine the original. Some of the narrative directions it takes in the second half, I think, knock it down a peg.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any less fun.
Sure.
But the first one it's fun, it's spooky, it's also a pretty tight story.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's
it has,
well directed.
and it's well directed.
Yeah. To me, like
I think this was pretty well directed too, though.
For the most part, yeah.
I mean,
It just has some questionable narrative decisions.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and you know, you said it yourself, like the narrative things are definitely questionable, but like it doesn't, like it doesn't take away.
It doesn't
from
make the movie. It doesn't make the movie less fun.
Yeah, and for me, like
It makes the movie a little dumber in the second half.
yes, oh, for sure.
But,
for what I really love about this series is the all the crazy dream practicals.
Yes.
And this movie of the ones I haven't seen all of them. I haven't seen the fourth or Dream Child or Freddy's Dead. So I guess I've seen about half at this point of them. But of the ones I've seen, this delivers the most on that.
This one probably
It
has
delivers the most on the spectacle, and that's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
for-
this
for
one
A Nightmare
probably
on Elm
has
Street.
bang for your buck, the best like dream set piece.
Oh, my buck was
even
bang.
even
Yeah.
better than the first one.
Yeah, I mean it has the biggest budget so far in the series. And you know, you're totally right, Cleve. Like I think that's one of the reasons why the Nightmare on Elm Street series is probably my favorite slasher series.
I see
Is
why.
because you can do so much with the dream sequences. So you have so many opportunities to do really fun, creative, out of the box practicals, and we get so many good ones in
Yes.
this movie. And you know, I think the first movie is like a really well made horror movie, but this one is a much better practical effects showcase.
Yeah.
Because there are so many just notable moments where you're like, damn, they had some budget for this.
Really-
and it turned out great.
Really, when I think about it, it doesn't surprise me that much that the same director did The Blob right after this, because, and we'll talk about it more when we talk about The Blob, but The Blob has, like, it goes toe-to-toe with The Thing for, like, best practical effects in a horror movie, I think. Yeah. It really does. And, yeah, you can tell that there's a lot of love for those, like, really crazy over the top practicals in this movie too. There's just like so many.
I love the variety too, because we get some really great, you know, stop motion animation in there. You know, the
Lots of
marionette
it.
sequence is fantastic. We get the the junkyard sequence later with like Harryhausen-esque
Skeleton
skeleton
fight.
fight.
Yeah, it's right out of Jason and the Argonauts. It's just grimier. Like they made the skeleton like all charred and nasty.
Yeah.
Which is it's perfect. It just burned.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even the effects that feel campier or like haven't aged as well feel fun because they feel like in the era.
Yeah.
Like for example, when the whole group falls asleep and enters the dream world, he has one of those the doctor has one of those pendulum ball table desk
Yeah,
things.
what is the technical term for those things where it's
Click
like
clack.
the click clack, the balls where you
Yeah.
hit one and it hits all the others and the other one and it swings back and
it's
forth
a-
and you click click click.
Perpetual click clack.
Perpetual
click-clack
motion
machine,
engine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perpetual click clack.
He has one of those, and the balls separate from the strings, and we get this really corny CG bit where
Yes.
the balls are flying around, and like
It's-
it looks bad, but
It's
it
not
looks
aged
very
well.
in the time.
But
you
it's
know,
very
and it
charming.
works for this movie.
One of the other examples of that, where like the effects don't look great, but it's kind of charming, is when Freddy's chasing the crippled kid in his dream later, and he becomes the wizard master because all the kids like have dream powers or whatever, because they're the dream warriors and whatnot. Even though they don't really put up much of a fight. But that kid turns into the wizard master, and he's shooting like green lasers out of his fingers, and it looks corny as shit.
Oh, it's all hand drawn on the film.
It
Yeah,
doesn't-
it looks
beautiful.
like they do something similar in Hellraiser, the original, at the end.
Yeah, with like the lightning. Yeah, it's the frame by frame.
Yeah,
like
it's that
draw,
80s
yeah.
hand drawn lightning. Like every movie then had it, from Star Wars to fucking Big Trouble, Little China. Like they're all doing it, and
Some do it better than
love it.
others.
Oh man, yeah, I like it. I like it when it's good because like the attention to detail, like wrapping
Mm-hmm.
around forms and stuff, is always really impressive. And I love it when it's bad. It's corny and fun. Like
Yes. This in this movie, it's the latter. It's the corny and fun.
Yeah. But you know, it works for me like so well, like not just because of the time capsuling of it, but also, you know, it was all a dream.
It was. That's true. He turns one of the same kid turns one of the little silver balls into a bird earlier in that
Yeah, a
scene.
little butterfly.
Into a little
whatever.
butterfly or
I
a
like how
hummingbird
wholesome
or something.
that, like for a moment they get to have like a little
like, I'm the
wholesome
wizard
sequence,
master.
like, they share what their special powers are in their dream. Some of them are like you touched on. Some of their powers are we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but I really like it because their powers are things that a lot of people just have in normal life.
Yeah.
Like the girl can just do like a front flip.
Patricia Arquette's power is she does flips.
Yeah, she can do a front flip. Like one of the kids is just strong, and then later looks like a Street Fighter character.
Yeah.
You know, but one of them was just badass.
Yeah, the ex-junkie is, I'm cool.
Yeah,
Two
her
switch
superpower
blades.
is she gets the tallest mohawk that's ever been seen,
Punk
and she
Marge
has
Simpson hair.
punk Marge Simpson hair, and she has 2 switchblades. And then when she fights
some leather punk outfit.
and then when she fights Freddy, it's over in like 15 seconds.
Yeah, all of her powers
She kind
are-
of like stabs him once, and then he kills her.
Yeah, like all of like apart from the wizard kid, like all their powers are like marginally acquirable in real life.
Right. If like the whole point is that like, oh well, in the dream we can imagine ourselves to be able to do anything, right? So we can fight Freddy. Why stop at one power apiece that is not even that impressive? Like, why is your power flips?
I have 2 reasons. for
Patricia Arquette.
Well, I have 2 defenses for this because I really like this. One, because they are invalids, right? Like they're at an asylum, like literally, like they're at like a.
I mean, because of their nightmares, they're that's why they're there. They're not like crazy.
Right, but they're at like a sleep center, and like they're all dealing with like their own like depressions and things or whatever.
Well, they're all
holding
they're
them
all
back.
being hunted by Freddy Krueger, so
Yeah.
they have shared nightmares. That's literally the only reason they're there.
Oh yeah, but like they're held back by it, right? Like in some capacity, they've all got their
Sure.
things that are holding them back in real life. Like the wizard kid's deal, like his real superpower is that he can walk in his dreams. Because
Right.
in real life, he's a paraplegic, right? So like,
Because he jumped off the roof
Yeah.
of the asylum.
right? Well,
No, he jumped off a bridge.
Oh, he
and
jumped
that's
off a
why he's
bridge.
paraplegic.
That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
It was the sleepwalker guy that.
Yeah, he jumped off the roof of the asylum, but I knew the crippled kid was crippled because he jumped off of something.
And so they're all trying to aspire to be their best selves. And at this time, they can only achieve it in their dreams. And like I like that. I also think it's good because you don't want their powers to be like too powerful because then you
Well, because then what's the point?
well
Yeah.
it becomes an anime. Like it becomes like Freddy and them like firing laser beams at each other. And like you can get that once with the wizard guy, like doing like the wizard spell, but
Yeah.
beyond that, like you want it to be like achievable
yeah, the wizard
with
spell doesn't
practicals.
work anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's I tend to prefer that like it's cartoony, you know, at its strongest, and it's all achievable with practice.
I mean, I understand it from like a storytelling perspective, but at the same time, also like if I was going into my dreams to fight Freddy Krueger, I'd have guns for hands. You know what I mean? I'd be able to fly and shit. You know, like I'm not doing front flips and bending the legs of chairs. You know?
Yeah, gun hand sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
And frankly too, you know what? I
mean-
rescind what I said a little bit. It does sound like a missed opportunity.
Why?
Like-
Why? Because then you have the opportunity to look Freddy in the face and say, "Never bring a knife hand to a gun hand fight."
Yeah, like
And then his head explodes because you've outquipped him.
all right, hold
You
on.
just have
We
to
need-
say bitch.
Yes, you have to say bitch at the end. Never bring a knife hand to a gun hand fight, bitch.
All right, should we like stop saying this publicly and start putting this into our new script, or how do we do this from here? Because this is gold.
Yeah, how do we get the rights
I-
to...
Yeah.
Who do we have to talk to get the rights to do the next Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Yeah, because I think like there needs to be some room for progression, and you know, like you want Freddy needs to be the horror star and do horror dream
Yes.
things. So like you don't want the kids' powers to like overdo that too much.
At times I wish they...
So gun hands would have been.
At times I wish they seemed like they could fight back a little bit more. Because the whole
Rather
thing,
than being killed,
rather than being
30
killed like
seconds each.
immediately. The whole thing about their powers, right, is like, it gives us a chance against Freddy. We're the Dream Warriors. And then pretty much all of them, except for the couple who survive at the end, pretty much all of them just, like, are killed immediately, despite their powers. Like, even the wizard kid, the lightning hands, he then, while he's, like, shooting them at Freddy, runs up on him for some reason. Like, gets right up on him, and Freddy just stabs him with his knife hand. It's like, oh, well, shit. That didn't really work, did it?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, Freddy's like specced out. You know, he's like,
Oh, yeah, well,
he's been like, he's got like 3 movies of practice, and you know,
And the seed of 100 maniacs.
and the seed of 100 maniacs. You know,
he's the
like,
dream. He's the Dream King.
he is the Dream King, and so he's got all the power, and he should have all the power.
Let's start at the beginning. Let's circle
Oh,
back
we have to
the
go all the way
beginning.
back to the beginning now.
I'm put my shoes on.
Well, I want to talk
Start
about
walking.
the intro sequence.
The opening sequence is great.
because it's really great. It shows one of the characters in bed, and well, before that, she's building like this paper mache sort of model.
the dollhouse,
Yeah,
essentially.
and we see her, and her mom comes home and tells her to go to bed. They have a little argument, but she goes to bed, and she wakes up, and we pull out from a close-up, with the bed frame,
With the headboard, yeah.
in the background, and we pull out, and the house is there.
So I think it's worth backtracking a little bit to like those opening credits where she's making the dollhouse, because it's really well shot. Like, it's all very textural. You get these. They made sure to make the paper mache goo that she's like slopping the newspaper with like extra kind of grody looking. It's all kind of nasty. There's some weird like Angelo Badalamenti like synthy weirdness going on. It's smearing. It's all really close micro shots.
Yeah, it's all extreme close-ups.
Yeah, and then partway through it, around when the time like the opening, like all the credits have run out, she pulls back, grabs a scoop of instant coffee, just like eats a spoonful of it, and cranks up her stereo.
Washes it down with a Coke.
Wash it down. That's right. Wash it down with a caffeinated Coke, and bumps up her stereo, and then like rock music starts blasting. And I think that's great. Like, it's good flavor. She's doing it to stay awake. We're setting the tone really nicely. Again, the visuals are all gooey and sticky and nasty, and we see that she's building a dollhouse. And yeah, then the things Ben described have happened, and we pull back. And I think you said like a tease that it's probably like
I think it's a rear screen projection.
Yeah,
because like the camera goes in on her as she's falling asleep, so just the headboard is like in the background, and then as it pulls out, her bed is in front of the house, and she gets out and sort of starts walking towards it, and I'm pretty sure it's a rear screen projection that they did that with.
But when we first see the house in the dream, I was like glued to the screen. Like I kind of sat up and really like stared, because I couldn't. It's so well made. It's so it looks like a giant real life version of the dollhouse. And we see little children playing in front of it.
It's Nancy's house from the first movie.
Yeah.
Right, made to look like a dollhouse.
But it's all dilapidated and boarded up and abandoned.
And it's super cool because, like, I was like, oh my god, is that a model? Like, are the kids, like, superimposed in front of it? And then I look closer, I'm like, no, they're interacting with the front door. Like, no, it's definitely, like, a real, like, giant fuckade set that they built. And the reason I was so impressed... Facade.
Is how that word is pronounced.
Oh, fuck, what did I...
Fuckade. That's the second time you've done that on the podcast.
Oh, you're right. Thank you. Facade. Anyway, it was all a facade. I meant to say it the whole time. But the reason I thought it was like a model is because they made it feel like this weird in-between, like a house, a real house in the dollhouse. And when she comes up to it and like... she's like walks up to the porch, the columns you can see actually have like a gooey paper mache texture over them, and the boards on the house almost look like popsicle sticks. and it's so nasty and gross looking. Like I love it, and the interior continues to look like that. Like they put like just a nasty kind of glue material on the walls and let it dry, and it all just feels wet and sticky, and it should. It's Freddy's domain.
Yeah. I love how they bring back the motif of the nursery rhyme too in that opening scene.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we even have the little girl on the trike that she talks to, and ends up following into the house.
Yeah, and then when she's running from Freddy, she picks her up and runs with her, and then it cuts, and it's very obvious that she's holding a doll while she's running down the hall. It's great. Then she gets to the end of the hall and looks down, and the girl is now a skeleton. And she wakes up. Well, she fake wakes up.
She fakes up.
She fakes up, yeah. Then, gotta do the dream within a dream. That's a Nightmare on Elm Street hallmark.
It was all a dream.
Well, yeah, she quote unquote wakes up and goes into the bathroom to like splash some water on her face, and the taps on the sink like grow fingers and like grab her, and one of them has like the knife hands.
Yeah, I loved that.
Such a cool prop. And, like Freddy is like looking at her out through the mirror and slashes at her. And then she wakes up for real because her mom like bursts into the bathroom, and we see that she's in the real world cut her wrist with a razor blade. And so that's how she gets committed to the psychiatric ward, meets all of the other kids, and meets Heather Langenkamp, who is now a young woman, and she's an intern psychiatrist, something.
Nurse aide.
Yeah,
sort of.
I mean, she's definitely like they say she's an intern at one point.
Yeah.
So she's like shadowing the doctor, Neil Gordon, who every time they address him, it sounds like they're saying Neo.
Which is funny, because one of the orderlies at the hospital is played by a young Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne, credited in the film as Larry Fishburne.
Yeah. He was credited as Larry for a while.
I wonder, I can't remember when his pivot to
I know
to
in
Lawrence
92
was.
he did the amazing movie Deep Cover, directed by Bill Duke, the guy from Predator. And
Yeah.
he's credited as Larry in that. So it's got to be like mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
Once he really like came into his persona, it's kind of like he evolved. He went from Larry to Lawrence.
He became Lawrence.
He became Lawrence Fishburne, and by the time not the 90s roll around, he's ascended, and he's become Morpheus, and he is Lawrence Fishburne. There's also Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
well.
There is Event Horizon.
Yeah.
He was credited as Lawrence Fishburne in
Whether
Event
or not
Horizon, I think.
he's
So yeah, maybe that was.
And it was right. It would probably
that's
would have
when
been
he
right around
became
there.
Lawrence anyway,
Yeah.
because he's definitely a Lawrence in that movie. He's not a Larry.
Yeah.
In this movie, he's younger. He's a Larry.
He's a Larry.
He's coming into his Lawrence.
He's
hood.
cool and young and hip.
He is cool and young and hip. I
Yeah.
really like him in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the greats. He's an amazing character actor.
Yeah,
doubt.
he's fantastic. Legend. Always fun to see actors like that in these sort of like bit parts in the early days.
Yeah, and I mean,
be like, did anybody on set in those days imagine that old Larry Fishburne playing Max the Orderly would someday be Morpheus?
yeah, I mean, in the first one, Johnny Depp was one of the first people killed.
True.
Yeah.
And look at Johnny Depp now. He just won a defamation lawsuit, and now he looks like an elderly lesbian.
Yeah, it
He's
looks like
looking closer and closer to Freddy Krueger. Actually,
it looks like he did actually get blended up in that bed a little bit.
Yeah.
But then the legacy continues in that respect. You've even got Texas Chainsaw. What was it? Family Reunion, Texas Chainsaw Revival. I forget Return, Homecoming, something like that. I forget the name of it, but it's the one with All right. Matthew McConaughey.
That's
it's-
Texas Chainsaw 3. I haven't seen that one.
Because it is like in that one, McConaughey is credited as introducing. Like it's his first.
Yeah.
It's his first. Movie
That
in
was
the
his
film.
first
We'll be
role,
watching
yeah.
it soon. I definitely want to see it again. He has
Okay.
a cyborg arm. It's awesome.
All right.
It's great.
I don't know if I need Texas Chainsaw ruined for me again and again and again.
I don't think it's
but-
ruined. I think it's fun. I like that. I like that movie. Like it's not good, but I like it.
Yeah, well, I like good Texas Chainsaw movies.
Yeah.
But Heather Langenkamp is a doctor or something now. She has they try to make her look older because she has the one streak of like white hair from where she was traumatized by Freddy, but in reality she is the same age as most of the actors who are playing these kids.
She looks like Rogue from X-Men, basically.
Yeah, basically. But she looking fine.
Yeah, dude.
Heather
What a dime.
Langenkamp is a dime.
Oh my god.
And she's good in this. Nice to have her back. She's really great in the original, and she does feel like a really crucial part. I mean,
She holds the movie together.
she's in all the best Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah.
The first one, this one, New Nightmare.
A true scream queen.
Yes, she's great in this. We do get a bit part from John Saxon returning later as her father, who's now no longer a cop. He's a security guard and he's a drunk.
Yeah, complete alcoholic.
Yeah, and he and the doctor who he and Heather Langenkamp have like a kind of romantic tension. I'm glad they never really do anything with it because he's like much older than her. But yeah, he takes John Saxon to the graveyard or the junkyard to find Freddy Krueger's bones. And that's where we have the Ray Harryhausen skeleton fight.
Yeah, that junkyard set is awesome.
It's dope. It's a cool set. It doesn't make a lick of fucking sense
No.
in the context of what Freddy's capable of in the movie.
Yeah, the other night we were joking about like the cool stuff principle. I think is what
Rule
we
of
call it.
cool.
Rule of cool. Yeah.
Principle.
Yeah, which also works. In fairness,
The cool stuff principle.
the rule of cool flows much better. But yeah, it's just like
Sounds like an
Throw it.
Isaac Asimov book. The cool stuff principle.
Cool stuff principle. Yeah.
Like a 70s sci-fi. All right, sorry. Carry on.
but yeah, it's overruling what makes sense is what is cool. And that is a cool sequence in the movie.
It's
so
very cool. Yeah, all of the cars around them come to life, and they like collapse on top of their car and like blocks them into this clearing, and then Freddy's bones come to life and fights them. And it's great, but it doesn't make any sense.
The cars coming to life look so good.
It's that's really cool. Couldn't have been an easy set to build because you had to wire all those lights up and have them
So many
going
active.
on and off all the time.
Instruments.
Yeah, it was cool. Again, how does Freddy influence the real world? How does his skeleton come to life
He's just
when he just
accumulated
has
so much power.
power only in dreams?
It's a haunted skeleton.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
It is really fun.
It's really fun.
And I will say, for as much as like the narrative, we'll still get into it, like goes weird and dumb in some places. There's one thing I really like about this movie, and that is
Just one?
Well, no, there's many things, but one narrative thing. Well, no, there's actually two. But this is the only film where he almost entirely like harms people practically in the real world. Like in the original film, like Johnny Depp literally gets blended in his bed. The first kill features the girl like being
Getting
like,
dragged across the
dragged
ceiling.
across the
Yeah.
ceiling. Like they're all like dream-based kills because he's hurting them in the dreams. They're being hurt the same way in reality, and it still applies here. But it's almost always like practical, like in like the realism sense. Like they're always like her cutting her wrists. The guy like in the dream, his the sleepwalker character, like in the dream, his all of his appendages are like pulled up like
a marionette.
like a
Marionette.
marionette. So like some of his muscles are ripped out of his arms up to his wrist, and same with his feet, like down his shins, so that they're like hung in the air. But in reality, he's just sleepwalking, and he uses that to make him leap off the top
Well,
of the...
while he is sleepwalking, he does literally phase through a door. We do see that happen.
Ah, fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, well, what are the rules? But, yeah, like, still, like, the kill... There's
Again, rule of cool.
really
Right.
cool. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's. I
It
mean,
is neat that he does that.
the kills are done in such a way that they don't necessarily, to outside observers, seem like overtly supernatural. Like the kid, like you're saying, who gets puppeted up to the top and jumps off, looks like he committed suicide. The one where that's a little dubious, I think, is the girl who gets her head put through the TV.
She could have just taken a running start.
I don't know about that. We should.
I'm depressed. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna dive into the 6-foot-tall TV.
You've never, like, seen a pharmaceutical ad or a political ad, like, so infuriating that you just wanted to run and ram your head into the television?
No.
Really? Am I alone here?
Well,
I've
Surely
seen
one of our
ones that
listeners.
are so bad that I feel like falling asleep immediately.
I mean,
which
Yeah.
in this movie would equate to something similar.
Yeah,
I've seen
there's-
I've seen the Neon Demon.
There's some movies where I just want to run and throw my head into a TV. You know, like I think it's believable. Like I'm giving that one. I'm giving that one to the movie. Also, fucking hilarious, right? I mean, obviously, no one's questioning.
Oh
whether
yeah,
how
well, I
great
mean,
it
when
is.
the shot where Lawrence Fishburne comes into the room and she's just sort of like hanging from the TV with like her head smashed to it. That whole sequence is great. That's one of my favorite sequences in the movie. One of my favorite like dream kill sequences.
Let's describe it from the top.
Because she's like, yeah, she's sitting in the TV room. She's trying to stay awake. She's putting cigarettes out on herself to keep her awake. Her character's whole thing is that once she gets out of there, she's going to go to California and become a TV star. So she's watching TV and she turns on the Dick Cavett show,
Yeah.
and Zaza Gabor is on there. And you were saying that was like
so-
real kind of.
Yeah, so Dick Cavett was asked to do the scene for the movie, and he said, okay, I'll do it. I'll bring on a guest myself. And so he invited Zaza Gabor, who's like a social... Think like a Paris Hilton of the 80s. And she's like, of course, darling. And she comes on, and...
What is she like? What does she say?
well, in Hungarian.
Of course, darling.
Yeah.
Doesn't hear me say it yet.
But she has no idea who the other guest is, and the other guest is obviously them shooting the movie, and
Right.
you know it being
The other guest is Freddy.
Freddie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what happens, what we see in the movie is as he's interviewing her, Dick Cavett says something like, I don't give a shit about what you have to say, and then he turns into Freddy and, like, lunges at Zaza Gabor.
So apparently she had no idea this was going to happen, and she had no idea who Freddy Krueger even was.
Awesome. So all of a sudden, there's just a burned man with knife fingers
So her
running at
reaction
her.
in the scene is completely genuine.
Fantastic. That's so funny.
That's amazing.
But so in the movie, as that happens, then the TV like cuts to static, and she gets up and she sort of like walks up to the TV, like trying to see what's wrong with it, and then two big arms come out of the side of the TV made of like metal and wires and shit, electronics, and they've got the Freddy Krueger sharp knife hands, and they pick her up, and then his head comes up out of the top of the TV. And I think, doesn't he have the bunny ear antennas
does,
like
yeah.
on his head?
Yeah.
It's all latex with these
Yeah.
pulling up from the TV.
And he's got this is his quippiest movie yet in the series for sure. They really leaned hard
good.
into the punny quips. But
this quip was ad-libbed by Robert Englund. It wasn't
Incredible.
in the script.
King.
fantastic. Well, yeah, his great little line is "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Welcome to time prime.
Welcome to time prime, bitch.
Prime time to
And,
welcome you,
and
bitch.
smashes
Prime
her
bitch
head.
time. Prime.
through the TV.
Get Amazon Prime, bitch.
Yeah, I absolutely love the effect of it because like
It looks great.
The TV has almost robotic arms that come out. It just
Like a transformer or something.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. And I love later, they go in that room after, and there's just a big burn mark where the
Oh
TV
yeah,
was
later in the
on
movie,
the wall. Yeah,
just a huge like black scorch
yeah, like they
mark
didn't
where
really
the TV
clean it at
was.
all. They took the TV down.
Yeah, that's really good. What other great kills are there in this? Well, this isn't a kill, but one of my other favorite moments, especially in terms of practical effects, is earlier on when Patricia Arquette's character reveals the special power she has, which is being able to pull other people into her dreams. And she falls asleep and she finds herself back in the scary house, and she's like in the living room and looking around, and like something comes up under the floor and it's moving around under the floor and the walls and everything's cracking and stuff. And then up from out of the ground right under her comes a big nasty worm with the face of Freddy Krueger
Yeah.
and starts like swallowing her like an anaconda.
It looks just like the Dark Souls worm guy.
The primordial serpents, Koth and
Yeah.
Frampt.
Yeah, it looks like Koth and/or Frampt, minus the little flappies.
Yeah.
Like
It's a great
beautiful.
prop.
Incredible. I mean, that alone. I mean, that would have been great for a climax.
Yeah.
Of the movie.
Yeah, and that's early in the movie.
with it,
That's like an
yeah.
early thing. Well, because that's the first time where, like, as she's in danger because she's being swallowed, she inadvertently pulls Nancy into the dream.
I love
who comes in
that
and
sequence when she falls
through the chair. Yeah. Oh man, just another really great practical.
One of my other favorite practicals is the mute kid. He
the
separates
tug.
from the group, and there's this nurse that he has the hots for, but he can't really get her attention super well because he can't talk.
And also because he's a kid.
Yes,
He's a teenager and she's an adult woman.
Seems a little yikesy.
yeah.
Like, I buy it, like, that he would have a crush on
I mean,
Nurse
it's
or whatever,
his.
and, like, those
Yeah,
things would
it's,
happen.
it's his fantasy. I mean, every teenage boy has fantasies about getting with adult women.
Of course,
Like,
yeah.
that's-
Yeah.
But yeah, he has the fantasy where she's like, oh, come into this room, let me get you alone.
Yeah.
And she gets naked and is
They
like
take it pretty far.
feeling him up and making out with him. Well, all of the kid actors in this were like 21.
Yeah.
So like it's not
it should
actually
be, yeah.
it's not actually skeezy.
Yeah, and we have that awesome scene where they're making out, and she like bites his tongue and pulls it, and we get him getting tied to the bed with like pieces of
with his
tongue.
own tongue. He's like she turns his tongue into like a Looney Tunes like cartoon tongue.
Yeah, and we get another one of my favorite quips of the movie from Freddy. He says, "Feeling a little tongue-tied."
As he's literally tied to the bed with his own tongue. And then the bed under him falls away, and it's just like
Hell.
it's just like a
all
pit
beneath,
of fire.
It's just so much fun, that whole sequence.
Well,
The tongue effect looks super fun and gross.
speaking of hell, we should talk about Freddy's origin story in this. This is where the film loses me a little bit, if I'm being honest. Both times I've seen it. Because, like, up to this point, like, the first half of the movie is, like, narratively, like, it's a little campy and goofy, but, like, it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't take you too far outside of the realm of belief in the context of, like, this universe. But there's this mysterious nun who the doctor keeps seeing all over the place, who seems to know something about Freddy, and one night he follows her up to like this abandoned part of the hospital that's been shut down since like the 40s, and she tells him, she's like, this is where it all began, and tells him that, like, back in the 40s or something, that part of the hospital was where they kept, like, the most criminally insane people, like, ever. And one of the nurses accidentally got locked in there with them over, like, the Christmas holiday or something, and was trapped in there with them for several days and was raped hundreds of times. And then when they found her, she was barely alive and pregnant with Freddy Krueger, who is the bastard spawn of 100 psychopaths.
Like, it's so over the top and campy that it's pretty funny.
I mean, it's funny. It's fucking stupid.
It is very dumb. But
It's fucking stupid.
I don't hate it, you know, because if this was like a super serious movie, then yeah, it would suck.
Yeah.
But like this, tonally, it doesn't feel too far off of what they're going for with the rest of it.
It doesn't. I just don't like origin stories.
It was unnecessary.
I just
for
don't.
sure.
Yeah, I just don't like origin stories for villains like Freddy Krueger. I think the fact that, especially in the first one, that why he has the power of dreams is never explained at all. It's just kind of like he was a child murderer who was killed by a bunch of parents, and his hatred and desire for revenge was so strong that he's able to invade the dreams of people and kill them. And they're like, it's unexplained. That's what makes it scary.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, in this, they try to be like, oh, yeah, he's so evil because his mother was raped by 100 psychopaths, and all of their crazy jizz fused together to create the most evil baby in the history of the world.
Well, the even dumber twist to that is the nun ends up being
Turns out at the end,
Amanda Krueger.
the ghost of Amanda
Yeah.
Krueger, yeah. Because right at the very end, the doctor, like, sees her in the graveyard and sort of, like, follows her around, and then she's gone, and then there's her grave. And that so her ghost was just hanging around to tell people about how evil Freddy Krueger is, and how the only way to stop him is to find his bones and give him a proper funeral.
Yeah, put the wandering evil spirit to rest.
That's what they
guess.
say.
Yeah.
That's not really quite what happens. They end up getting the bones in a grave, but
Yeah,
they kind of just throw vodka.
Well, no, it's holy. It's
It is
holy
holy
water.
water,
Holy
yeah.
water, because he
And
goes to
he
the church
says-
earlier and he fills the vodka
Yeah,
bottle with holy
yeah.
water, and he steals the crucifix and gives the priest his driver's license. Is like, you can keep my driver's license. I'll come back and reimburse you. But they get his bones into the grave and splash some holy water on him and put the crucifix on top of his bones. And then in the dream, while Heather Langenkamp and Patricia Arquette and the Strong Kid are fighting him, he starts glowing and then does a little spin around. And
Several times,
he does several little spin arounds.
Which means they had to animate, like, the glowing, like, holes in perspective. Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like, ton of work behind that.
For such a fucking hokey effect,
oh yeah,
too.
it looks so
yeah.
corny.
I mean, it's rotoscoped essentially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Still
But
gotta
I
do
still
it, yeah.
frame by frame.
Yeah, you're still gonna draw each one of those, like, growing things frame by frame.
it's a lot of work.
It's hard,
for
trust
sure.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like that scene when he's losing, essentially, when he's getting banished from the dream
Yeah.
world. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. Like, it looks cool, but it feels like an anticlimactic way for
It's-
Freddy to go out.
It's goofy. It's goofy. Also, just like, the idea that he can be defeated by the power of the Christian God
yeah.
feels a little bit weird for Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
you know, there's never
Christianity into it isn't.
there's never been that aspect to like I mean, I know this is only the third one, but in the first two, like, there's never been that aspect to that.
Yeah, because it kind of makes him a demon, and like that's
Yeah,
not,
it makes him like a satan. It makes him like
possession.
satanic. Yeah, but by dumping holy water on his bones and putting a cross on top of them, like that, because like,
Like,
when
this
they
isn't an exorcism.
when they lay the cross on him, like a glowing cross like appears
Yeah.
on his forehead, like in the dream world.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so the Christian God is real in this universe, and he can defeat Freddy Krueger. Okay, that's cool, I guess.
Well, maybe it's just real in dreams, and
But it's not, because they're dumping the holy water on his bones in real life, not in the dream.
but also in the dream, because it's dreams are a reflection of life. I'm bullshitting my way through this.
Yeah, you're doing a bad job.
and
Because they're not using holy water in the dream. They're getting their asses kicked by Freddy, and then in the real world, the doctor starts dumping the holy water, and then all of a sudden, Freddy starts burning.
Freddy's dream power has become so potent it's invading real life. That's why his skeleton actually animated. And his dream power has become so potent that like
So because the characters believe in the salvation offered by Jesus Christ,
it works in the dream.
it works
Yeah,
in the dream.
and
I mean,
enters the dream.
When you
and
think
that's
about
also
it, that's how you save suicidal teeth.
yes,
So-
and also too. Remember, there are movies after this one.
that all
meaning-
offer different origin stories for Freddy Krueger.
Because Freddy is a dream-based thought form, and those laws only apply in dreams, which is why he comes back, because the Christian God isn't real. And so, like, it in that world, or whatever you want for this world, but like
I think
and so it works.
I think in, I want to say
Kind
the
of.
fifth one, the Dream Child, the whole thing is that there are like three astral dream gods who
What?
throughout history choose the most evil people they can find to grant them their powers so they can torment the living, so that
Some video game and
so
shit.
that the dream gods can feed on their souls or something like that.
What?
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
awesome.
actually pretty accurate.
It sounds cooler in principle than in execution.
I mean, it sounds stupid in
It's
principle.
pretty bad. I don't particularly like the Dream Child. I don't particularly like that one.
I gotta see it.
It's dumber. It's dumber than this one. But I do kind of like. They're just like, oh fuck, we biffed Freddy Krueger's origin in the last one. Let's try again. Oh fuck, we biffed it again. Let's do it again. And then New
It's
Night,
like
and
an
then
onion.
and then
You
New
just
Night.
peel back more and more layers.
Yeah, and then New Nightmare, like, literally turns him into a tulpa, kind of.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They will him into existence.
Yeah.
That feels like the biggest narrative misstep in this movie
Yeah.
is like going too far into the origin, or trying to get rid of him. Like, leave Freddy unknown and undestroyable.
Yeah.
Just find a way to keep him at bay
Yes,
for the time
exactly.
being.
Exactly.
know?
Just get him off your back at
Yeah.
whatever cost. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it still would have worked for the Dream Warriors premise too, because like they're still just under the impression that with their powers together, they have a chance of defeating him.
Right. Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like stronger together. Which I do want to dig into a little bit more. I think now's a good time.
Sure.
So the sort of the core premise of this movie, like along with the subtitle, is there are these are the Dream Warriors. Separate, they're nothing but ragtag teens, trying to get by in life with their shitty dream problems, and paraplegia and anger issues, and but together they're a dream based strike team, who are all specialists, and I think that fucking rules.
But never once do they fight him as a cohesive unit.
No, but they do all, like, at the very least, they do all set up what their dream powers are, and in some
Yes.
case, show them off and use them.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
there is setup and payoff, and that's all I really need. Like, yeah, no, there's no part where, like, they all come together and, like,
As the Power Rangers.
a heavenly light, you know, like, glows from their bodies, and
You
they get
kinda-
suits of
You get
dream
the
armor.
closest you get is in like Hell,
Yeah.
when they kind of tag team almost. With
Well, yeah,
the,
but
a
at
little
that
bit.
at that
buff
point,
guy
at that point, all you've got left is the strong kid and Patricia Arquette again, who again her powers are she can do flips, and for some reason Heather Langenkamp doesn't have any powers.
Her power is, like, Professor X.
Perseverance.
Her power
Staying alive.
is leadership. The most
Yeah.
important power of all.
But
in a group.
but Professor X also had powers, like really strong ones.
He was kind of the
That was
strongest.
he was kind of like the strongest of them, which is like what made him fit to be the leader, right? You
Not a perfect metaphor. I'll give you that.
I mean, really, Heather, really had like in seriousness, like Nancy's power in this is that she's fought Freddy before. Her power is knowledge,
Experience.
is experience.
she's the which one in the A team has the gray hair?
Hannibal.
She's a Hannibal.
Yeah, kind of.
There we go. That's
I mean, I think he
better.
also also does stuff in the A team too, but
leader stuff.
yeah, I mean, it's I get it. It does seem like kind of a missed opportunity for her to have like a cool power or something.
I mean, thankfully, Nancy does do stuff.
Oh
in the
sure,
dream
oh sure,
world,
yeah.
you know?
She is important and she does fight.
Does
You know, she
fight and protect some of the others.
she does take up the mantle of leadership, the Autobot matrix of leadership.
Movie we'll never talk about.
we-
on the second.
No, but it's great.
Great.
But there is after that they free the mute kid, the kid who doesn't talk, and he discovers his dream power, which is just shouting so loud that Freddy Krueger goes away.
Right. In real life, he can't speak, but in his dream, he shouts the loudest.
He shouts the loudest.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's not deep, but I like it. I'm not saying I like it because it's deep. I
only
like it
uses-
because it's corny.
He only uses that power once.
Well, but it's great when
While
it
they're
does.
in the hallway and there's a bunch of mirrors and everyone's getting pulled into the mirror by a different reflection of
Right
Freddy
when you
Krueger.
think that all these mirror Freddys have pulled all of his friends into the mirrors and they're lost forever,
And
right?
he
At
just
that last
goes-
moment of darkness.
He just
there's
goes,
a light.
"No!"
He does a shout.
And then Freddy goes, "Ooh, my ears!" And all the mirrors shatter, and his friends pop out.
I like the cinematography.
I really get the impression that in like the last like 20-ish minutes of this movie, they were kind of like, we ran out of story, but we still have some set piece ideas.
I disagree.
So
I
let's
think the
just-
set pieces came first, and they tried to glue it together with some semblance of a story.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, is they had all these ideas for set pieces, then they used
Oh, yeah,
some of
okay,
them and
yeah,
were
we're
like,
okay.
oh shit, we're out of story, but we still have these other things that we want to do. Let's just do them anyway.
I mean, again, rule of cool.
Yeah,
Rule of
that's what they
cool,
should've done.
rule of cool, exhibition of effects.
It's like it's the same way I feel about a lot of martial arts films. The best ones have incredible stories, sure. But all I'm really looking for in a martial arts
Yeah.
movie is cool action set piece to cool action set piece. Like,
Sure.
Don't fuck around and get muddied down with story for too long. This movie doesn't. And there is story. It's still pretty. At least it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's good.
I mean, definitely in the first half. I think the narrative, like the plot in the first half, is pretty tight. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets a little looser and less tight later,
It was a little
but
slippery, but at least
yeah,
engaging.
I do think there's some missed opportunity to have like at least one scene where they're like all the Dream Warriors are together fighting Freddy, and like Patricia Arquette does like a flip over him and kicks him, and then the strong kid like grabs him and holds him so that the crippled kid can use his wizard power to shock him, and then the goth girl can twirl her knives at him and, you know, like stab him or something.
Yeah.
But then he's too strong, he breaks free, and oh no, and then they have to form up Megazord.
Yeah. I wish that would have happened.
I wish. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Missed opportunity.
I will say I really love the scene where the punk girl, junkie-ish girl dies.
Well, yeah, she used to be a junkie.
Yeah,
That's her.
ex-junkie.
The past that
yeah.
haunts her.
Yeah, she is pulled into this like alley. You know, she has her knives and she's like twirling her switchblades around, and has a pretty cool fight with Freddy.
I don't know about that.
It's a brief.
It's about
short.
it's about 15 seconds, and she gets like one good shot in.
Yeah, but he pulls out the syringe fingers.
Yeah,
Which is one of my favorite
it's a fun prop.
shots of this movie. Is when he pulls up his fingers and they all have the little blue syringes in them.
Well, yeah, and we get the cut to like her arms, and like her old track marks are like little mouths, and they're like,
Yeah,
and
it's
he,
goofy.
yeah, and
but I love it.
he injects her, and she ODs on dream drugs. It's kind of gross
get
too,
high.
because he's like, as he's like injecting her, he's like coming, kind of.
He's
like,
getting high as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
The
is a-
dream drugs, aka Ambien.
Benadryl, baby. Benadryl and NyQuil. Another fun practical effect that I like is when they're fighting him in hell, and Nancy's like, he's never been this strong before. She's only had like one experience with him. I don't know like what she's really basing that off of, but he's like,
Dream logic.
but then he's like, yes, the souls of children make me more powerful. And he like rips off his sweater, and his torso is just like covered with like little screaming faces.
It's all warped flesh with little faces. And
Yeah,
stuff.
he's been absorbing the souls of all the kids he kills, and they're like trapped in his body.
I hate to make
it's
like
fun.
the weeb comparison, but it's like a practical equivalent of like Envy from Full Metal Alchemist. You know how like Envy has like the faces of all like the damned souls
yeah.
in their flesh. It's like that, but like live action and
haven't seen
practical.
Full Metal
and
Alchemist in a long time.
Fucking awesome! Like it's really cool. It's a great idea.
It's
I love the
like it's
execution.
just like in Yu-Gi-Oh when
Yo, you're weaving out too.
when they send
Go for it.
when they send Yugi's grandfather to the Shadow Realm.
I'm gonna have to take your word on that one.
It's nothing like that at all.
You just wanted to weave out too. You
Yeah,
wanted
I just
you
wanted
wanted to play on the playground. Also.
yeah, I just wanted to have an anime moment about souls.
Banana moment.
An anime moment.
Yeah,
I haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh since I was probably 12 years old.
good.
What did y'all think about the moment where the dad is like killed in the junkyard, and then he
Oh my
appears in the
God.
dream world?
80s sleaze, baby.
It's so hokey, but also like it is Freddy Krueger playing a trick on Nancy. But yeah, like the way he just materializes in,
so
and
good.
he's like Nancy,
So corny.
I've crossed over to the other side, but I couldn't go without saying goodbye. I just wanted you to know that I'll always love you. Like it's so. If it hadn't been Freddy Krueger playing a trick on her, I would have hated it. But because it is him playing a trick on her, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fully agree. Like it's clearly done like extra corny because Freddy
well,
has
he's-
this
He
humor about it.
materializes with like sparkles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's some
Like
My Little Pony
magically.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's so funny. It's like I've crossed over to the other side. Speaking of crossing over to the other side, I was gonna say let's rate, but we gotta mention. I think you did mention earlier the score is done by Angelo Badalamenti,
That's right.
frequent David Lynch collaborator, and the score is great.
We also
The credit
have,
song.
Yeah, an original song made for the film by the heavy metal band Dokken.
I had forgotten that this was this movie that they wrote that for. I thought it was I thought it was for the fourth one, but yeah,
Yeah.
that track slaps.
It does.
That's a
And
hot track.
Unequivocally, fucking slaps.
Honestly, more
yes, fucking whips,
more
slaps.
fucking movies should do that.
Yes.
Where they give an artist the script and say, go at it, write something related.
Make
Bro,
a
that
corny
used
credit
to
song.
that used to be like not that uncommon in the
Yeah.
80s and 90s to get like a real band to write like a credit song for your movie or something.
Second time.
Nobody's doing that anymore.
No, I feel like the only people
Transformers
doing that
fucking
nowadays.
movie is rife with it. It's so good.
The
you
only
got
people-
the touch.
The only people
You
that
got
are
the
doing it
power.
nowadays are kids movies and fucking rappers.
Yeah.
Like fucking Yeet is doing
Oh.
a Minion song. Or
I will
whatever.
say, be careful what you wish for. Spiral from the Book of Saw did have that Saw theme.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
21 Savage.
the 21
It did.
Savage one. Yeah.
Do a number 2 with my rifle.
Yeah, that's
Big
right.
old shit.
I'm gonna let it spin like a spiral.
Do a
number two with my rifle. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck.
It's coming back.
Yeah, dude.
See, that's why, like, I'm excited for, like, that,
Saw 10.
No, well, also yes, but like
So you
very,
think they're
very
gonna do
much
that?
so.
You think they're gonna do that again?
But like, no, that's why I'm excited about like the David Harbour like Santa Claus movie and stuff like that because it feels very much in that vein. Let's bring it back. That's the kind of movie that would have like a corny credit song. I want more movies like this. I don't know if it's good. I'm not predicting that it will be. It could very much suck. But at least it's the kind of movie that I'm looking for in theaters.
See, I think the key component of a movie that has an original song written for the credits is that I don't think the movie can be like too self-aware and jokey. I think it can be campy, but I think it needs to take itself relatively seriously for that type of thing
The
to
goal's to
come
have
off as
fun, not to
entertaining.
I think of
Yeah.
like the Dial Code Santa Claus song with
Oh
Happy
my god,
Birthday Jesus.
the Bonnie Tyler
Yeah.
one, yeah. Happy birthday,
And that's a perfect example.
happy birthday, Christmas,
Because
welcome
she's
home,
taking it very
Jesus.
seriously, but she's also so
Yeah.
drunk.
You're right,
So
you're right,
drunk.
it wasn't Happy Birthday Jesus.
No,
That's too simple.
It was Happy Birthday, Christmas, welcome home, Jesus. Someday you'll be a man. I think about that song all the time.
Damn, I see why.
same. See,
It's
there
so
is
fun.
my restless
some
dreams,
good
I hear that
Christmas
song.
music out there. That's one of the songs.
You're right. Yes, you're right. That is one of the better the modern Christmas songs. But yeah, like I the thing about like that Violent Night movie that's coming out or may already be out by the time this episode comes out with David Harbour.
It's out today.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. So it's definitely out by the time this comes out. Like that movie, it's like it's from the same people who did like Nobody and like Bullet Train, and it's like those are very like nudge nudge wink wink like jokey self-aware movies. And like that's the type of movie where I don't want them to get an original song from somebody. It needs to be something like Spiral. Like a fucking bad movie that takes itself completely seriously, that for some reason out of all people they got 21 Savage to do a song for the credits.
Well, it's like I think that with a movie like this, like I don't know if like self-serious certainly isn't the word, but like and self-awareness probably isn't either. But like there is like such a great deal of competence and like
Yeah.
understanding with the movie and knowing how to deliver and how to deliver fun. Like
It's fun and it's campy, but it takes itself seriously.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's the vibe.
I think, if you're going to do that today, the peak way to do it is to bring back like a very washed up old rock
Oh,
star
yeah.
to do it. Like
Get like Rat or something.
Rat or Warren.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Get like an 80s rock band that hasn't been relevant in decades to write an original song for your movie.
Original song by Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Now we're talking.
Fucking get Slash on the phone, but not for Guns N' Roses. Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
All right. Do y'all want to rate this thing?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Strong 4 out of 5 for me. I really like this movie. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's got some narrative problems, but it's a really fantastic showcase of effects. some of the most fun dream set pieces of any Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Great cast. Heather Langenkamp, Patricia Arquette, John Saxon, Larry Fishburne, of course, Robert Englund. Can't go wrong. Yeah, strong 4 out of 5.
Yeah, this movie rules. You know, this is my second or third time seeing it, and every time I see it, I like it a little bit more. I think this is probably my second favorite after the original. You know, New Nightmare is definitely close as well. But, yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I will say one thing is, if you like any of these movies, there's a documentary called Never Sleep Again.
I still need to watch that.
It's like 6 hours long, super long, but it goes through in depth of every movie. And there's so much good stuff in the behind the scenes of these movies. So definitely watch this movie and check that documentary
Yeah, I
out.
still need to watch Never Sleep Again.
That sounds great. Okay, my rating. I was really thinking about giving it a 4.5, but I thought about it a little bit more. Maybe I thought about it too much. And you know, my opinion might change over time. With this one in particular, I think it might. But I'm coming in hot. I'm following my gut, and it is definitely not a perfect movie. But this is a perfect movie for me. I was a kid again. I was just having a great time with this film. I gotta give it a 5, just for me, you know. Like, and again, it's not a 5, like as just generally as movies go. But for me, it's a fucking 5.
Well, stand by your convictions. Don't say it's a 5 and then say it's not a 5. If it's a 5, it's a 5.
Yeah.
Well, that'll give Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, a very strong 4.5 out of 5 average. So check it out. I was going to say they're all on HBO Max. No, they're not anymore. They were recently, but
Fuck you, WB Discovery.
the WB Discovery thing is starting to creep in, and HBO is removing a bunch of stuff, and it stinks. And it's bad. But there are ways to watch this movie, so
Yeah.
seek it out if
Rent
you
it,
haven't.
you know, buy it, honestly, even.
I think some of these might be on Shudder. I'm not 100%.
Maybe.
But,
I don't know.
Well, even if not, go check out Shudder.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
whatever.
very
Just
good.
find. It's 2022.
We love
You're
Shudder.
an adult, presumably. You know how to find movies. All right. Well, next week is it's that time of year again. It's our year in review. We're going to be talking about our favorite films of 2022, our least favorite films of 2022, and some other fun categories in between.
The annual potties.
The annual potties.
Forgot we called him that.
Yeah. Potties with a D, but it does sound like toilet.
Where the potty at?
Where the potty at? Which I think is appropriate for us and for the
Yes.
show. Our annual potties and our year in review. So join us next week for that. Real quick before we close. Sponsor.
Sponsor time! What does the shelf have for us this week? Could it be as poignant as it was last week? I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean,
Hopefully.
it's, hard to say. Okay, it's a long one. You ready?
I'm ready.
This week is brought to you by the chafe and bloody nipples of a dedicated marathon runner. I thought it said defecated for a second. Sometimes marathon runners are so dedicated that they defecate. I have heard of that happen.
Yeah. Well, and their nipples bleed
Yeah.
because they get chafed from the perpetual motion.
You just run without a shirt on at that point.
That's why a lot of people do run without shirts on.
Yeah, I would think. Because
Part of the reason. But I'm glad that some don't, because those chafed and bloody nipples of a dedicated marathon runner are sponsoring the show this week.
makes my nipples hurt just thinking about it.
Well, dear listener, does it make your nipples hurt? If not, think about it. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're
Stop
done.
thinking about it.
We're done. Rate the show on Apple Podcasts 5 stars.
We are the
No more, no less.
warriors. Warriors of the pod.
You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/podpeoplepod. Our honorary pod boy, Sam Simon.
Our
Oh, Podtriates. You can
Are
become
Podtriates?
a Podtriate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's
good.
Yeah, it
It's a
rolls
little
off the tongue.
it's a little awkward on the tongue, but I like it. The Podtriates. You can become a Podtriate at Patreon.
At Podtreon.
At Podtreon. No, patreon.com/podpeoplepod. Shout out to our honorary pod boys, Sam Simon and Zach Confer.
Yo, Sam, thank you so much for
Sam
picking
chose this
movie.
film for us. This was
Thank you.
thank you for your pick, Sam.
Classic.
We appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at PodPeoplePod and at letterboxd.com/PodPeoplePod, where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. I'm on Twitter at SomeSpookySnake and streaming at twitch.tv/SomeSpookySnake.
I'm on Twitter at Mr. Sheets, and if Hive Social still exists, follow me at Sheets.
Nice.
I got off of Twitter before it was cool.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm Cleveland Mosier, and well, you know that, but you can find my work on dreadxp.com mostly these days, or on Steam via DreadXP as a publisher. You can find a lot of the whole cool, neat, and fun games, all of them that I've done and worked on, and sometimes art, sometimes QA. I've done a little bit of all of it at this point. And yeah, go check out Mirror Forge. It's great. It's got like reality smashing and all sorts of cool stuff. It's neat. That's it for me.
Well, thanks for listening. Until next time, sleep tight. Don't let the Dream Warriors bite.